In this video, we're going to be talking about how to price your Airbnb without any data or comparables, so stay tuned. Vacation Rental Machine helps hosts just like you learn how to start, grow, and scale your short-term rental business. This show is all about creating systems that help you automate your business, giving you more time and money freedom. If you're ready to start living the vacation rental life, then subscribe to this podcast today. Come and join us on our Facebook group, The Host Nation, where we'll be talking about starting, automating, and scaling a short-term rental business. Now, on to the show. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Vacation Rental Machine. I am Julian Sage with John Bell, and today we're going to be talking about what do you do when you don't find any comparables. Let's say you are interested in listing your property online and you don't know how to price your property because everybody else in the area, maybe there's just no properties, there's not that many people, or the people that you are seeing, maybe they're just priced really, really low or really, really high. You have no clue how much you should be pricing your rental for. So John, what do you do in a situation where there is maybe just very little data, very little comparables in an area for you to be able to know how much you should be pricing your rental for?
You know, if you've been doing everything right and you kind of listen to us from the beginning and you already have your avatar of your best person that you want to host and you know the value and such that you're offering and you know kind of what you put into the place. For instance, what I'm saying is if you didn't go out and just buy the cheapest furniture and kind of throw it into a room and then expect to make $300 a night, but yet you put furniture that is valued at something that would cost $300 a night, then you have full autonomy to kind of pace yourself. Just above cost is where you want to start. So you want to run your calculations, you want to get your base price, and you want to get your minimum price. Your base price is going to include what little bit of profit that your minimum number that you want to hit. So for us, in some cases, during the wintertime, that might just be $500. For the summertime or the high season, it could be $1,000, could be $1,200. So you add that cost to your minimum price, and you can break that down by following this calculation. So you take your cost, all of your expenses, your rent, your utilities, your subscriptions for the TV, whether or not you're adding cable, everything that you can think of, you want to put it into your cost, excluding cleaning fees and things like that that are paid out by the guest directly. So you take that number, you divide it, let's just say by 21 days or 70-ish%. Whatever that number is, you can calculate that as your minimum price. That's the lowest price that you want to accept if possible. You might be willing to go under that number in rare cases, but this allows you to make sure that you can cover your cost. So in any pricing tool, you want to put that as your minimum. Then you want to say, hey, I think that my place is going to be valued at blank dollars. Maybe you came up with $200 for that stay, but you feel like you would go stay at a similar place for $270. So you want to figure out that gap and what it actually costs in profit. If that means you want to make $1,000 in profit, you just take $1,000 and you divide it by that same number, 21, and then you add that to your per day amount. In some cases, you might look at that and say, that might be a little too low. It's okay to start just a little low because what you want to do is build that profile and people actually clicking that value button when they do their review and say, yes, you have a 5-star in value. When you see that start to tick away, that's when you need to back off on pricing. So when you're first starting out, the best way to sum it up is you want to cover your cost and you want to know exactly what profit you're baking in. Some pricing tools will work for you in some of these rural areas, some will not. So if they won't, you kind of need to just kind of play around with certain things. And maybe you do a little higher prices on the weekend and a little lower prices on the weekdays if you feel as though the occupancy during weekdays is going to be lower.
So John, do you think that people should be looking at like hotels or other types of maybe similar accommodations in an area if there's not that many people listed as short-term rentals?
You know, in the year 2021, if the hotels are still around or still operating at full capacity or whatever they might be a good comp. But there are a lot of places that are on Airbnb now that are thriving in rural areas. And they might have started out being the super budget friendly place just because there was really no need for anybody to really go out there. But now they might have adjusted their pricing to just kind of skyrocket because the demand is so high. So you do need to know that math too. Hey, when you get a bunch of bookings super far out, you might need to increase your price a little bit. And I would say start in $7 to $8 increments on a maximum price or minimum price basis, and just keep going up from there until you start saying, hey, I'm only booking a month out. And a month might be comfortable for you. Sometimes you can go a little bit more and just book a couple weeks out. But you want to make sure that people are paying a decent price if they're booking further out. When they're booking right inside of a small window, it's okay if they're closer towards that minimum price, because either way, your minimum price is still good because you don't have to pay anything out of pocket.
Right. So what you're talking about right here, John, is pacing. And the beauty and one of the tools that we recommend and always use are dynamic pricing tools, because these dynamic pricing tools can basically allow you to not have to go in manually and change the price out into the future, however long. With these pricing tools, if you know your minimum price, if you know your base price, you can set those prices, and then you can just adjust how aggressive you want the pricing tool to be. So if you want it to be a little bit more aggressive and just raise your prices a little bit more, it will automatically adjust those prices and also the pacing for you. So that way you're able to, maybe that it's coming into high season, so you can bump up your aggressiveness on your pacing. It'll increase those prices in the future, versus if you want to be more conservative with your pricing, you can bump it down and be more conservative, and then your pricing will drop lower farther out. And that way you can get a good idea of where you are in the season and how much you should be pricing your property for. But again, you want to be able to at least break even. You don't want to just go into a market and not be able to generate any profit. So again, you want to be able to find out your minimum price, which is the calculation that we just did below. Of course, we'll include a link down below where you can find out and see all the tools that we use in our own business, such as the dynamic pricing tools that we are currently using in our business. And because, our preferences are always changing, you can find the most updated links down on the description box down below. And if you want to find out how to be able to price your property and follow us step by step, we also have a video which will include somewhere on the screen or down below where you can actually find out your minimum and base price. It's a really helpful video for you guys if you don't know how to do that yourself. So just to recap, if there's no data in the area, again, find your minimum price, find your base price, and then you're going to have to do some self-pacing. You can definitely utilize these dynamic pricing tools still, because they're basically just going to be looking at listings, and they're going to be calculating, how many people are traveling in the area, how much of listings are getting booked up, and they'll be able to adjust that for you. But if you're not comfortable with that either, you can also do your own self-pacing, but it is going to be a little bit more manual, and you'll have a little bit more control over those prices. The question of the day: is your property located in an area with not a lot of properties or not a lot of data? We'd love to know how you've been dealing with this down in the comment section down below. And until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting. If you'd like John and I to answer your guys' questions, then be sure to go to the Host Nation Facebook group and use hashtag AskVRM. Hope you hosts found value in this episode. If you did, please go on over to iTunes and leave us a review, as that would greatly support the show. If you'd like to connect with John, the community, and I, then go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation. Talk to you hosts in the next episode. Keep on hosting.